So the San Francisco 49ers are so banged up and injured that the Niners had to cancel their joint practices this week against the New Orleans Saints, which were slated for Thursday and Friday in the lead up to their second preseason game against New Orleans. We're going to run through all of those injuries, and I'm going to pass along some of the concerns I have with this football club on the injury front. First, want to give a shout out to the faithful for all of you who support this channel. Really do appreciate it. Join the movement if you haven't already done so. Over the last 28 days, we've picked up more than 1,100 new subscribers. So if you're looking for Niners shows that come your way daily on this channel that are informative, entertaining, insightful, thought-provoking, that involve you, the faithful, hit that sub button. And with that, let's talk about this Niners injury report right now. It's a beautiful Monday right here on the San Francisco 49ers Report. Chase Sr. here with you, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in. I appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day, and I appreciate Roan for making today's 49ers Report possible. If you're looking to enhance your wardrobe, swagger up, level up, do it with Roan. I'm wearing their commuter shirt right now. High-quality menswear, and if you use the code CHATSPORTS at roan.com/chatsports, you get 20% off your order. So San Francisco, very banged up. This isn't the case after that game in the preseason opener against the Tennessee Titans. This was the case in the lead up to that game. That's why a lot of players on this Niners team did not travel and did not play in Nashville. As for the latest Niners injury news and the implications of all of this, the Niners were scheduled to have a couple of joint practices with the Saints in Irvine, California this week. I know a lot of fans were really looking forward to that. San Francisco, because they're so injured, will instead stay back at their facility at the SAP Performance Center in Santa Clara. And Kyle Shanahan revealed after that preseason opener against Tennessee that 23 players on the Niners' 90-man roster had missed the Niners' most recent practice. That's nearly a third of the entire team. So for the first time in Kyle Shanahan's tenure as the head coach of San Francisco, the Niners will not have a joint practice against another team. Usually it's good to gauge how you go up against another squad in a practice situation because of the decrease in preseason play. Some teams actually value joint practices a little bit more because they can gauge how they stack up against another squad, and it's just refreshing to not have to hit your own teammates after a couple of grueling weeks of training camp. The biggest injury coming out of that game against Tennessee is cornerback Ambry Thomas. He broke his forearm, he's out indefinitely, and now his roster status as a Niner moving forward is in jeopardy for the former third-round pick out of Michigan. He was already facing an uphill battle to make this team because San Francisco is so deep at the cornerback position. And the Niners have a couple of options here, but they have to decide quickly. The Niners can either place him on season-ending IR, or they can release him with an injury settlement. Either way, that would open up a roster spot for the Niners. Look out in the aftermath of Thomas getting injured for San Francisco to add another cornerback to the 90-man roster. And if they make that roster move, we'll of course talk about it right here on the show. Now, you next take a look at the Niners cornerback depth chart, and this is the unofficial depth chart that the Niners released on their website. And I know Deommodore Lenoir is pictured twice. And I think as you look ahead to week 1 against the New York Jets, what are the Niners going to do at corner? Charvarius Ward was a second-team All-Pro last year, one of the best corners in the game. He's going to be one of the outside corners, but he's coming off a core muscle surgery, so he too has been banged up. And what do the Niners do with the other outside corner spot as well as slot nickel? Because the Niners have Deommodore Lenoir listed in the slot and on the outside. Unfortunately, you can't clone Deommodore Lenoir. You're going to have to figure out where you want to play him. Do you play him in the slot where he has thrived and played elite football, and then on the outside you put Isaac Yiadom, who's shown some flashes, Darrell Luter Jr., a young player, Rock Ya-Sin, a veteran who I was impressed with in that preseason game against Tennessee, or do you move Deommodore Lenoir to the outside And in the slot, you have a player like rookie Renardo Green. So San Francisco has a couple of different options here, but which route are they going to go? It's a big looming question for this Niners defense, which, by the way, against Tennessee on third downs was atrocious in that preseason game. I know it's the preseason. Either way, you have to get that fixed. Ambry Thomas, what an interesting path he's been on. Former third-round pick, rookie in 2021, played good down the stretch, had that interception to clinch a Niners playoff berth against the Rams in the final week of the season, barely played year 2. And then last year, after the bye week, when the Niners defense had struggled and when San Francisco suffered 3 straight L's, they moved Ambry Thomas to the outside, Deommodore Lenoir to the slot, and the Niners defense really started to play better. And Ambry Thomas played pretty good ball in the regular season. Overall Pro Football Focus grade of 71.5, a run defense grade of 70, a coverage grade of 70.5. That's above league average right there. But in the playoffs, he lost his confidence. The Niners coaching staff lost trust in him, and his play fell off a cliff. He got beat. He was penalized, and he looked like a player who didn't have confidence in himself. Overall Pro Football Focus grade of 29.4, a run defense grade of 30.6, and a coverage grade not good of 29.9. The Niners lost so much trust in him during that playoff run that they sat him in the Super Bowl, and they moved Deommodore Lenoir back outside. And then they had Logan Ryan, who retired and was cooked in that Super Bowl, played the slot. And a lot of people internally, there's been some buzz about this, believe that if the Niners just went with Ambry Thomas and or Deommodore Lenoir and they sat Logan Ryan, they could have won that game against Kansas City. But Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes identified that weakness, they targeted it, and they exploited it. Now, the positive spin here at the cornerback spot for the Niners is that San Francisco is probably the deepest that they've been at the cornerback position since Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch took over as the head coach GM tandem back in 2017. They're really good at that position as far as high-level talent, and then they have some really good depth pieces. I thought Rock Ya-Sin played well against Tennessee. Keep in mind that Tennessee played their starters. And in a goal line situation, Rock Ya-Sin was one-on-one with Calvin Ridley, who the Titans gave $24 million per year to. And Rock Ya-Sin's technique was awesome. He kind of drove Ridley to the sideline on a back corner fade from Will Levis. And then later in the game, he had another pass breakup. He's a veteran who's played good football in this league out of Temple University, a former second-round pick. He's just been injured a lot. And then on the youth front, rookie Renardo Green had a fumble recovery when the pill was just spinning around on the grass, and he was able to recover that loose football, turnover. Niners got the rock, and Renardo Green made some good plays elsewhere in that game as well. Other notable Niners injuries, and this is, of course, a little bit problematic as you look ahead to Week 1. We still have a little less than a month to go until the season opener on Sunday Night Football against Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, but a lot of key players are on this list. Christian McCaffrey dealing with a calf injury. Probably not going to see him the rest of the preseason. That's what Kyle Shanahan said last week. McCaffrey did go on the radio and said, if it were a regular season game, I would be in there, but still, it's the same calf injury that McCaffrey had at the end of last year, and he was not 100% for that Super Bowl. Fred Warner has foot irritation. Ricky Pearsall injured again. Drake Jackson out for the entire season due to a knee injury. Talanoa Hufanga still coming off the ACL. Isaac Guerendo, Elijah Mitchell, 2 running backs, hamstring injury. Dre Greenlaw, nowhere close to coming back after tearing his Achilles in February in the Super Bowl. And then you have 2 superstars, Trent Williams holding out. Brandon Aiyuk, contract saga. Charvarius Ward still coming off that core muscle surgery. So this is a little bit of a concern for me because you have to get ready at some point for the regular season, and you want to have some semblance of your team on the football field. You can't just patchwork it for Week 1 against a very good New York Jets team. And coming up next, I'm going to explain why this trend of injuries is a huge concern for me with this Niners team. Stay tuned for that conversation. I also have a trivia and poll question for everybody. Who is this Niners player? Drop that name for me down below in the comment section. I will reveal the answer coming up here in just a few moments. First, I want to give a shout out to today's sponsor, Roan, for making the 49ers Report possible. If you're looking for high-quality menswear with durable, stretchable fabric, which has wrinkle-release technology and odor-free technology, if you want to look good, feel good on the golf course, at the office, going out on a date, hosting shows like I am here on YouTube, you can get 20% off your order at roan.com/chatsports. Upgrade your closet, enhance your wardrobe with everything from golf polos to button-up shirts, which aren't too long, which gives you the flexibility and the versatility to wear it untucked or tucked in like my man right here. You can wear it with the suit, without a suit, a tie, no tie. This is more of a casual look that I tend to side with if I'm hanging out with some Chat Sports homies and we're taking down some sluggies. I also really like their shorts and their pants. Very durable and stretchable fabric. I'm done with clothing items where you invest in them, you wear it a couple of times, and then the seams start to pop and they start to fall apart. It's a joke. Roan, anything but a joke. It's your answer. Roan.com/chatsports. Get 20% off your order. Use the code chatsports at checkout for that deal to apply. That link is hanging out down in the comment section and in the show notes of today's San Francisco 49ers Report. All right. As the second part of this conversation, let me explain why this trend of injuries for the Niners during training camp is problematic and a concern for San Francisco. Over the last several years, the Niners have had a lot of success. Yes, they haven't won that 6th Super Bowl, but they've played a lot of football with little rest and short off seasons. The Niners have played in 4 NFC Championship games and 2 Super Bowls over the last 5 years, and playing deep into the calendar year with shorter off seasons isn't ideal for the human body in a sport that involves so much physicality and brute force like the game of football naturally does. And there's a serious question. At some point, are the Niners due for a regression? If they don't win a Super Bowl, they could very well be this generation's Buffalo Bills. The Bills made it to 4 straight Super Bowls and didn't bring home a Lombardi trophy. All these years later, after Jim Kelly was their quarterback, they still haven't won a Super Bowl. Not the case for the Niners. They have 5 rings. They're on that quest for 6. But they have had so much high-level success that at some point, they're going to have a down year. That's how the NFL works because it's truly a league of parity. And the Niners have been a historically injured team under head coach Kyle Shanahan. He takes the job in 2017 after being the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. And in year 1, the Niners were the 10th most injured team in the NFL. In 2018, 4th most injured team in the NFL. In 2019, 6th most injured team in the NFL, still made it to a Super Bowl. Coming off that Super Bowl, the Niners were the number 1 most injured team in the NFL. That year was an unmitigated disaster. In 2021, still made it to the NFC title game, but 3rd most injured team. 2022, another NFC championship game, 9th most injured team. In 2023, though, that turned around. The Niners were the 4th healthiest team in the NFL. So this year, what will the result be? Last year, we finally got to see what San Francisco can do under head coach Kyle Shanahan when they have pretty much a full stable of weapons under head coach Kyle Shanahan, and we got to see what this Niners team is capable of when they can stay healthy. Kyle Shanahan runs physical training camp practices. The Niners play a very physical style that naturally lends itself to San Francisco, history showing, to be a banged-up football team. Let's just hope and pray that these injuries that are happening right now in training camp don't continue. And it's not a sign of things to come. And let's hope that 2024 is not like 2020. Because the Super Bowl window is closing for the Niners. San Francisco has a real shot to represent the NFC in New Orleans in February. And if you don't capitalize with this special team, full, littered with future Hall of Famers, all pros and Pro Bowlers, this Niners run will go down as one of the biggest what-ifs in the history of the National Football League. And my biggest concerns for this Niners team going into this year. Are they mentally fatigued, losing another Super Bowl and coming up short once again with this core collection of talented players? That is question number one. How do they bounce back mentally after losing a game against Kansas City in which they should have won? And if they didn't have all these self-inflicted wounds, we're talking about the Niners being defending Super Bowl champions. Concern number two, bad offensive line play. It's really held this team back over the last couple of years, and San Francisco hasn't really invested heavily into the offensive line. Dominic Puni didn't give up a sack or a pressure in his professional debut. That's good. But you also don't have Trent Williams right now. And you do still have some question marks in the trenches offensively. And then lastly, it's the injury rate. Will San Francisco avoid the injury bug once again? Or is 2020 going to come back here in 2024 and are the Niners going to be an off-injured team, taking away from their possibilities and their potential of representing the NFC in the Super Bowl? Earlier, I asked you this. Who is this Niners player? Number 33, running with some force. A lot of people probably got this answer correct. The answer? Former Niners running back and fullback Roger Craig. It is a crime that he's not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He played with the Niners from 1983 to 1990. He was tremendous, oftentimes overshadowed by some of the great players on those Niners teams under Bill Walsh and, of course, Joe Montana slinging the pill. He was a three-time Super Bowl champion. The 1988 Offensive Player of the Year. He made it to 4 Pro Bowls, and he was a 2-time All-Pro. Truly a special player who played the game the right way. And sometimes here on the show, I'll ask you who your favorite Niners player is. A lot of people have said number 33, Roger Craig. So if you got that answer right, congratulations. The newer generation, you may not have known, but now you know, because what we do here on this show is inform you.